Waiting for the signal. Yes, we can take off now. All right, so welcome to Spiritual Healing 2, the class, and with the title Developing the Art, and Developing the Art of Spiritual Healing. And so great that you're here, that you're present here, that you show up. And so still people are coming in, so sometimes I click the bell to let someone in. So today, developing the art of spiritual healing. That sounds really beautiful. It's a great title. And it is great. And it is what we do. We start it up in ourselves. And so it is a very individual process. You know this. And so this is how we're going to approach this too today. There's a lot of space in class to come with questions, to ask things, to share your experiences, or to do what you feel moved to do. And you can even ask for healing. You can ask for a miracle, or how does that work? A direct communication with God. So this is all taking place in the online class that we do. And this part that you're in now, that you're actually watching now, is this, that we get started with miracle principles, with a specific way that Joel describes to us as, say, going beyond the chalk marks of human limitation. Same comes to us in the Miracle Healer's Handbook, where we actually use the lesson, I lose the world from all I thought it was. Not the whole lesson, but I use a part of it that has also to do with the undoing of a belief system. So that is an important part of this class, because you ask for this to come out of your comfort zone, so to speak, of human comfort, which is not comfort at all. But you got used to it. It's like, okay, you get used to certain patterns, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of responding, and certainly certain ways of thinking. And you invited a change in that. That's why this is occurring. That's why you can use this as much as you like to come to a whole different vision altogether, and developing the art of spiritual healing in you, and extending that outside of you. And there's nothing outside of you, so you extend it, not really to anyone or anything, but you start to shine that. And you shine that light into the mind of your brother. And hey, how is that working? See, fundamental principles that we're dealing with here, and this is in that sense a continuation of where we left off yesterday with the collected essays classes. There's only one mind, and it's your mind, and it's your mind connected to all minds. But since there's only one mind, there's only one mind. So there are no other minds. There are other personalities and other ways, other seeming characters that have their own bubble in which they try to live their life or something in your imagination. So we're dealing here with your dream, and we're dealing here with truth. Truth then lets you discover that there is one mind, and that's the mind that you think with God, in connection with your brother, with everything and with all of creation. And that thinking is not trying to think positive or trying to think really sweet, beautiful ideas. No, this thinking is a different quality altogether. And that is one of direct experience and extension. So this is where we slowly come to, in step by step come to, by the undoing of our own thinking as we were used to as a human being. Seeing that by doing so there's more space in your mind for a different light, literally, to enter into the darkness that is in your mind when you think as a human being. So all these aspects, all these parts, all these, say, ways of training that we do, all these possibilities of renewal, of coming to different insights, are all given to you. So one of the basic things that you do as a human being in your transformational process then is stepping back out of the way that you were used to thinking, out of the way that you're used to reacting, responding to this situation that appears to be outside of you. So the one that is seeing all this, that is seeing the world as you see it, the one that sees the world as you see it, is the one that is not going to see it differently. So that's always something that comes back to. So the next part then too is like, this is an invitation to allow a fundamental change occur in which you are actually born again. And I go through this really quick. I understand. I'm aware of that. I do this to have an overview of, okay, there are some steps that we have to take in this. So one is getting out of the comfort zone as being comfortable with your human ideas about yourself and human ways of living. And I know you're in the process. You do this. You're like far along in this. You have so many different experiences. So now we start to apply this and use this in a different way. Not in the way that we think is right, but in the way that it's going to be given us. So and then actually we come to the third part, and that is developing the art of spiritual healing is one in which you start to listen and becoming receptive to guidance from within. And just by entering into the present moment and letting that be complete. Because that is the only moment that your mind can be at ease, at peace, and without disease. So that's the beauty of entering into the present moment. So that's a huge part of the Course in Miracles, but also of Joel's teaching. It's like practicing the presence, becoming totally present here right now. So this is my invitation. This is basically where we start our class. Become present here. Things that distracted you for a moment or that you were active in participating in a moment ago, let it go. Put your phone down. Forget about appointments that you have like in the next days or who knows what you have on your mind. Let it go. We don't need it in this hour. We're here. You're here. Allow this moment to be complete. Allow this moment a moment of healing in which you allow it to be so complete that you actually feel what I'm talking about. You come into the direct experience of connectedness, of the one mind, of seeing like, yes, there's only one of us. And it's happening right now, and it feels so good. It makes me so excited and so happy with the possibility of that occurrence. How do you do that? How does that happen? See, it would take a miracle to let that happen. So today, I just posted one expression from the Urtext that I was reading in the preparation of this class, and that one was, souls of the miracle unite souls in God. The miracle unites souls in God. And of course our souls are already united, but it actually gives you the experience that you're one with God by connecting with your brother, by, say, allowing yourself to love your brother as yourself and to love God with all of your heart at the same time. So it's literally like fulfilling both of the commandments, in fact, that Jesus gave us, the most important. It's like love your neighbor as yourself and the God above all else. So this is the practice. See, really basically it comes down to that. What is the healing factor in all of this? So anything that is deviating from that would cause conflict, and a feeling of uneasiness, a feeling of not being at home, a feeling of, say, loneliness, or, so something's not quite right, something like that. So here we are in the beginning of our class, joining together, looking for ways to become quiet inside yourself. So breathe, relax, maybe close your eyes for a moment and like, oh yeah, wait a minute. Ah, yes, sigh. And it's like, okay, I can become completely present here. There's nothing that stops me from doing so. I want that to happen. I allow myself that space. And yes, I step back. I say, take my attention of what I saw a moment ago. I take my attention out of that. I don't want to follow that, but I actually allow myself to be still, to be quiet, and spend a quiet time for just a moment. Yeah, that's great. So even though that is short, it is like I cannot talk about it. We have to come into the direct experience of what we are doing. Otherwise, what are we trying to do? So I try to pace it like that. That, okay, this is our quiet time. Ah, yeah. Wow, that feels good. It's great to feel, to feel just the presence, to feel a moment for myself in which I allow this to occur. Whether that's appropriate or not, whether that fits in my, my social structure or in the moment of the day, just take that moment for yourself. Don't be concerned with anything else. See, more and more you become open to receive something, because before you can receive anything, you will have to be open. Otherwise, it bounces, so to speak. It doesn't penetrate. It doesn't come in. You cannot really receive it. Okay, so I feel coming up that I can start reading some miracle principles of the Urtext. I have 3 of them in mind that I'm going to share. Miracles, here's one. Miracles are natural expressions of total forgiveness. Through miracles, man accepts God's forgiveness by extending it to others. The second step is inherent in the first, because light cannot tolerate darkness. Light dispels darkness automatically, by definition. Now that is a real ununderstandable, you think you get it even intellectually, but the experience of it is an opportunity to have this light dispel the darkness. That is what's occurring during a miracle, so hey, allow that to occur. Total forgiveness is a moment of total forgiveness. Like, hey, what do I have to lose? I don't want to defend myself doing anything. I'm letting it go. Allowing a new vision to come to me. That is the practice that we do right now. So thank you, God. Thank you for my brother. Thank you for coming here together. Thank you for meeting like this. Thank you for the opportunity to stand still, and that we have this as our means to come in touch with our true being. Okay, so here's another important one. And I chose these because they relate to what we're reading about later in the, say, chalk marks of Joel. A miracle reawakens the awareness that the spirit and not the body is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. A miracle reawakens the awareness that spirit and not the body is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. A miracle rearranges the order of perception and places the levels in their true perspective. This heals at all levels because all sickness comes from confusing the levels. Okay, see, this is another essential part in the development of the art. A miracle rearranges the order of perception and places the levels in their true perspective. This heals at all levels because sickness comes from confusing the levels. So these two, the last two that I was reading, are very essential. One is about the awareness that spirit and not the body is the altar of truth. And then at the same time, say, there are two different levels of looking at this. The miracle is the shift from the physical into the spiritual. So, but on both levels they heal. So that means that when you allow the miracle to happen to you, it also heals on the physical level. So a moment of total forgiveness, letting go of all your grievances, all your grudges, all your bygones that you were still chewing on, like letting them all go and letting this moment be fresh and new, totally receptive for the moment, what is given now, So we come back to the idea of confusing the levels, because sickness comes from confusing the levels, thinking that you're looking for a result on a certain level while you're in another level asking for it, and more like that. We come to that in the rest of the text. It will come back. So then there's a little part in the Urtext that I love to share with you too. This is about using time constructively. It's on one of the notes on page 11, down below. Miracles depend on timing. This is why you shouldn't waste time. I told you a while back that time would cease when it was no longer useful as a learning aid. There's a way of speeding you up, and that is by leaving more and more time for me, so you can devote it to miracles. I'll read it once more. Miracles depend on timing. This is why you shouldn't waste time. I told you a while back that time would cease when it was no longer useful as a learning aid. There's a way of speeding you up, and that is by leaving more and more time for me, so you can devote it to miracles. Now, you see, that is such great thing to hear, at least for me. I'm really happy to hear this, because I would love to speed up time, to receive something that speeds up time for me, that I don't have to linger, so to speak, in darkness while it's not necessary. Like, enough is enough. So you see that the reason why this is being shared is also to show you, like, okay, so how can this be speeded up then? And this is by spending more time with me, says Jesus. Like, spend more time with me. And how do you do that? Well, if you do the workbook of A Course in Miracles, you see that there's a systematic way to use more time, to devote more time to doing the lessons, to sitting still, to actively do some mind searching, or actively letting some related thoughts come up, or actively devoting yourself to become still and make a connection with the light. So, and this light is crucial. This is very important for us. So we go. So today's lesson is I think 79 or so. It's like we're 80 already. We come, say, closer to lesson 90 and 91 and 92. So that's all about light. You're going to be trained to receive that light for yourself, to spend more time in that place where you actually directly connect with Jesus and with out of time, so to speak, to receive the light and to come into the practice of that, using that. It's a real part of the developing of the art of healing for yourself, and seeing that when you receive it for yourself, it is extended to everyone you meet, because hey, there's only one mind. When you remember it for everyone. That's why your role in this is really important. Okay, so far these miracle principles. So another part that I'm going to use is the lesson, I lose the world from all I thought it was. We'll leave that, I think it's lesson 184, if I see that well. We go to that later, so but I'll see if I can find it in the index, so that I got the right number, so to speak. I think it's 84. No, it is not. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a moment. 134? No, anyway. I have it here in the book. So in the Miracle Healer's Handbook it is printed. So we can use that too. So another part that I want to present in this class is the chalk marks, as I call the little piece. So I pasted some of the Art of Spiritual Healing into this PDF. And the great thing is, I made it a bit playful, like chalk marks. Okay, it's like one form of art, if you want. So it's like developing the art, and not necessarily making chalk drawings. No, but having this as a beautiful symbol again, an analogy, very constructive, where Joel comes to us with. Just like the diamond that we were talking about the other day, or the pearl. And now these chalk marks, they seem to be so unimportant, like, okay, chalk mark, one bit of rain and it's gone. But that's great. I hope it will be very quickly gone. The chalk marks that Joel is talking about have to do with exactly like the human limitation, the human denial of accepting their true identity. And let's read a little bit in that. Why not? The Master Jesus Christ watched people imprisoned by chalk marks, multitudes of them. They sat crippled at the gates and in the streets, But he merely looked at them and said, "Wilt thou be made whole? Rise, take up thy bed and walk." And they arose and walked. They found that there was nothing hindering them. They were just obeying a rule of human life, which says that under certain conditions or at a certain age a person may be paralyzed, and this they had accepted. Jesus saw the chalk mark there, and in his conviction that there was nothing hindering them, they got up and walked. So it goes on with a couple of other examples. Let me see, I had this part. Oh yeah, here. It says down below, pretty at the end of the PDF. Only those white chalk marks called time, diagnosis, symptoms, or appearances can make you believe that you are a prisoner of disease or sin. The only requirement for freedom is to skip across that line. And why not? What is hindering you? A belief? A theory? When you recognize it as but a belief or theory, all the white chalk lines begin to disappear out of your life, because they are not there as barriers. They are there only as appearances. Wow. So this is a great part. Another great part is what's just a bit above that. The Master told us that we must become as little children in order to accept the truth. Very often the reason for delayed healings is the spiritual healer's inability to be childlike enough to see a white chalk line where somebody else has seen a death date or accepted a certain period as necessary for the disease to run its course. People see 3 chalk marks instead of 1 when it is an incurable disease, and they are locked more tightly than ever in their prison. An incurable disease. What can be worse than that? As a matter of actual fact, spiritual healing often has far greater success with incurable diseases than with the curable ones, because when a doctor says, "I've done all I could do," the patient gives up hope of a cure from materia medica, and in his hopelessness, he is receptive and responsive to the spiritual impulse. Well, see, it is good to look at this. So what Joel is saying here too is like the power of mind is literally playing a big role here. So you, with your powerful mind, are describing all kinds of, say, powers to parts of you that you believe in to be true. And that is a real obstruction in that sense to healing. That's a real obstruction to receiving what is given in the moment. It's the same as the idea that you already know what the answer is, and with that you cannot learn anything, or thinking that you know how to deal with certain situations. See, here we come back to all the time, because it's the only hindrance that there can be is thinking that your idea is of value and is really, say, your reality. So by thinking that, you miss the opportunity to let something else occur. So that's why I put down at say in the little introduction for this video, or for this class in fact, you have to come out of your comfort zone. And the comfort zone, that is really like the habit of your humanness. Over and over you fall into the trap of accepting that and seeing that no, it is not happening. No, it doesn't look like it. No, it's not working out. Or, but this is what I have. What can I do? Or I might as well trust this. Why? Yeah, It is just it's not really what I want, but I accept it. See, by thinking that way, you don't leave, say, enough space for the miracle to occur. It's like, that's what Joel says, like, well, the people where the doctors have done everything to heal and nothing worked and the doctor gives up, suddenly there's an opening in the mind of the patient because he has nothing to lose anymore. That's where you come be receptive. You don't have to go that far. You don't have to become like incurable, diseased in order to become open to receive the miracle. But in some ways it goes like that. For some, it goes like that. Or say experiencing so much pain that you really don't know how to get out of it anymore. And seeing that you can try this one thing, it might work, who knows? And that would be enough then to receive the miracle that is given. So developing the art, to come back to the title again, it's like developing the art of healing is then also to allow your mind, say, to become juicy, like not holding on tightly to ideas, not conviction, not this, not that. No, you don't have to do that. So it's like that becomes really like playful. Instead of making chalk marks to limit yourself, you start to make a nice drawing or whatever you do with it. That's all perfectly all right. So, and it has more healing capacity than the limitations that you put on yourself. Why not? So it's like, do become like little children. Yes, go and grab a piece of chalk and start drawing. Make a nice drawing just for the fun of it. Why not? Take your healing in that sense serious by being playful, instead of thinking that you have to like contract into, well, if this doesn't work, then I have nothing left anymore. It's like, no, that's not how this works at all. It's like, no, you can completely trust what is going on. It doesn't depend on the ideas that you had before. You can let them go. You can literally invite something new. So this elasticity, so to speak, of mind, of releasing your fixed ideas, by allowing a new experience to come to you, by being adventurous and letting that happen, by, say, experimenting with it. Like, I don't know, I'm just going to try and do something with this and see where it ends up. Like, I'm going to step back. I'm going to be quiet for 20 minutes and invite it in. It's like, okay, bring it on. I'm ready here to receive and see what happens. Like this. You make your own little invitation, or you know what to do with that. And if not, we can talk about it. We can be playful in doing this. So that's really great. So developing the art is really like a beautiful part of the process, in which you don't forget to laugh and to dance and to celebrate. It's like, okay, it is not as serious as you think your situation is. No, this is becoming free of that. And it generates so much like freedom, sense of freedom, and so much fulfillment at the same time. It's like, why don't you want to let that happen? Let's do it. So how is that going? So are you willing to play? Are you willing to come out and play? This would be a great moment to do that. So in order to even let go of that world that you see and that you listen to, or that let you define you, in order to undo all that, we have this great lesson too that we can read. I think it's lesson 134, but I missed it. I missed it already. So 134, no, still not. 132. Yes, 132. Lesson 132, then I can read it from the Urtext, that's even more. On page 59 of the Urtext textbook, volume 2 is that. 59. It's on page 351, the general count. So the second count is then for the second volume, and that's 59. Okay. So I lose the world from all I thought it was. What keeps the world in chains but your beliefs? And what can save the world except yourself with capital S? Belief is powerful indeed. The thoughts you hold are mighty, and the illusions are as strong in their effects as is the truth. A madman thinks the world he sees is real and does not doubt it. Nor can he be swayed by questioning his thoughts' effects. It is but when their source is raised to question that the hope of freedom comes to him at last. See, there's one way of doing that. The questioning the source of where it comes from. Am I perceiving it? Am I perceiving it? Well, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not gonna work with that. I don't trust this as the right source for my information, or for my extension, for my aliveness. So, skipping to the third paragraph. Here in the present is the world set free. For as you let the past be lifted and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. You have enslaved the world with all your fears, your doubts, miseries, your pain, your tears, and all your sorrows press upon it, and keep it a prisoner to your beliefs. Death strikes it everywhere because you hold the bitter thought of death within your mind. The world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning. And what you behold upon it are your wishes, acted out, so you can look on them and think them real. Perhaps you think that you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. Yet in truth, you found exactly what you looked for when you came. There is no world apart from what you wish, and herein lies your ultimate release. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. So, and we can continue on because this is a great lesson. So it's in the Miracle Healer's Handbook, the little book that I offer as a PDF on the website. So you can listen, you can read the whole lesson 132. I lose the world from all I thought it was. So great lesson. It's great to take a look at, okay, I'm still blinded by this. Sometimes I give it so much meaning. I really think it matters how it looks, and how to dissociate from it seems to be like a hardest thing. See, and then it is like, well, you want to use time constructively. So give more time to your stillness, to going within, or becoming playful in this to receive it. But start, I say, an intense relationship with your Creator, with your Savior. So developing the art starts with that. Doing that, taking time, listening, stepping back, not arguing about what's going on in the world. No, stepping back from that. Like, okay, I'm taking a moment for myself here. Instead of arguing or having ideas about it, I'm going to let them go and choose for some time by myself, or going within. Or maybe do something playful instead. Turn on some music and dance, or who knows what you're going to do. But this is all really helpful in say, coming out of the sticky stuff in your mind that seems to be like glued to your way of thinking about yourself, until it doesn't, until you see it disappear or melt in the light that is coming to you by by feeling so grateful for what's going on, that you have a choice. You got out of the prison in that sense because you have a choice. There's an alternative with a capital A. That is actually the only one thing that is really there. So enough for now. I made my point. I invited you enough to let this occur. I invited you enough to say, discover more for yourself, using materials that are available, or using the materials that you love to use in whatever way that works for you. Don't waste any time thinking too long about what you're going to use. Use it, what you have. That would be perfect. It is given you to use. And so here in class we continue with whatever happens, whatever is coming to the surface, whatever is shared in that moment by the one teacher, where we join as one mind. Okay, so thank you for listening to this, by being present here, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.